I believe Nijinsky did create a new choreographic structure. First of all, it's because he looked at the body in a different way. We know this from Afternoon of a Faun already, L'après-midi d'une Faun. He already wasn't trying to be virtuosic. I mean, the Faun has one leap in the whole piece, and he has that very ritualistic, geometric frontal movement. But Nijinsky also understood that there is, in the history of ballet, a very hierarchical relationship between the dancers. And what is so remarkable about the Rite of Spring is that every person is so important. The core, it's a very democratic, it's the first really democratic ballet. Now in contemporary dance, we see it all the time, and we take it for granted. What happens at the end of Act One? When, as Kenneth says, the shaman kisses the ground and releases the spring, everybody goes into solo. 44 people, simultaneous solos. The stage is complete chaos. The critics at the time had no idea how to handle this. What on earth is going on? It's not like the mad scene in Giselle with one person in the middle going crazy. It's not even like any of the crazy party scenes that happen in some of the 19th century ballets. This is truly crazy. How did Nijinsky achieve this? I think it was directly under the influence of the Russian futurist paintings that were happening at the time, where artists were taking the canvas and they were faceting light, like if you looked at something and it was too bright and the light all breaks up, and they painted the surfaces of the painting like that, like broken up like this. I had Rombert's comments, I had Stravinsky's comments, I had everything the critics had told us. Plus, we had the great virtue of these drawings by this artist Valentin Gross, who did these little sketches, these little pencil sketches. Some of them are very, very detailed, and some of them are very rough. Some of them even were published with bits of music. But these were almost lost to history. When the artist, Valentin Gross, died in Paris, it happened that Richard Buckle, the English ballet historian, went to her flat to see what was there, and in a dustbin he found these 70 small pieces of tracing paper with these little rough sketches, which had been thrown out, and he understood. He recognized the Rite of Spring.
So Millicent found her way to Marie Rambert, who danced in the ballet, but she was Nijinsky's choreographic assistant. And she was the one who gave Millicent an insight into what had happened, but also she was the one who had a score. And she made choreographic notes on the score. But she couldn't find the score. She said, it's in my house somewhere, I have a copy of it.
And she didn't find it while she was still alive. It was only after she died, her archivist found it in her bedroom cupboard underneath blankets. As soon as the archivist found it, she called us long distance from it and gave us the day, come right now. I know exactly, it was on the 14th of February, 1984.
See what I found.
Look what I found.
It's very helpful to find the writings of the critics, particularly the critics who didn't like the piece.
Yes.
Because if they didn't like it, they said exactly why they didn't like it. And that was manna for us. Because
the old maxim, right? It's your enemies who make you strong. It's the enemies that tell you what you need to know. And they really did. So the critics that were anti the ballet would give you what you need to know. If I don't like it, I have to say, I don't like the fact that they're squeezed together like sardines. I don't like the fact that their elbows are glued to their ribs and so on. And they really did complain. I mean, they were quite insulted. Also the audience. There are wonderful memoirs of the audience. Because the ballet is a ritual, that was from Rurik, from the beginning, through Nijinsky and Stravinsky, they kept the ritual structure. So a lot of the time the dancers have their backs to the audience. If they're in a circle or they're in a square, they are not facing the public who've paid to see this. And the public is used to being addressed. The public is used to being important. And all of a sudden, the public's just watching between the legs of people that are blocking their vision.
and this is one of the reasons for the riot.
And this is one of the reasons for the riot, because they said, I paid my subscription, and I'm not going to stand and look at somebody's back. I paid to see them dance.
Nijinsky wouldn't start the choreography until he'd seen Nicholas Roerch's designs and the actual costumes. The costumes were made in St. Petersburg in the atelier of Nicholas Rurik, and they were painted there by his assistants. But the ballet was being prepared elsewhere, and Stravinsky kept on writing to Rurik and saying, for goodness sake, Nikolai, please send these costumes to Nijinsky because he will not start the choreography beforehand. And if we're not careful, we're going to run out of time. And then, so eventually they were sent, and the costumes and the designs were looked at by Nijinsky. And you could see what he did. He wanted to see the colour groups because he played the colour groups against the green backdrop just in the same way that the Forbes would have done their paintings. It was very artistic the way that Nijinsky worked.
Wonderful relationship that developed between Rurik and Nijinsky, and how Rurik would give Nijinsky little gifts like these little wooden totems, like what these gestures that the ancestors do when they, or the elders rather, when they walk. There were these little wooden totems that the ancient Slavs used to carry like as good luck. And Rurik had collected some that he actually owned, and he gave some to Nijinsky. So we know this was this wonderful relationship. But even though the relationship between Stravinsky and Nijinsky was fraught, maybe in the end that was useful. Because Nijinsky's idea was he wanted to show all the music. And at first Stravinsky really resisted this, and it was Rambert who convinced Stravinsky that Nijinsky had a good idea that would actually help people understand Stravinsky's music. Because as one French musicologist has written, Pierre Boulez actually, the conductor and musicologist, he says, it's a complete architecture. The Nijinsky choreography is a complete architecture of the score. And that's what Nijinsky was trying to do. So where you have 5/4 time, 3/4 time, 2/4 time, running simultaneously, instead of just doing fours through the music, Nijinsky does fives, does threes, does twos. Do you understand what I mean? Is that we see every story of the house simultaneously. We're looking in. So it's like you're looking at the page of music on the stage in front of you. The color code for the old Slavic costumes was white for men and red for women. But what to me is so fascinating, because this is a time of the fauvists, the wild beasts in Paris, Matisse, very, very colorful painting going on. Rurik doesn't stick with the original color code. He keeps the men in white, he has some women in red, but he also has women in blue, women in mauve. So he introduces yellow for the witch. He introduces these very strong primary colors. And Nijinsky understood what Rurik was doing. And there's a wonderful letter by Nijinsky where he says, I know what this rite of spring of ours, Igor, will be when everything is right. It will be like a new painting, and we will see these great lines of force and lines of color. And when the girls in Act 1 in blue make this strong diagonal across at the very beginning, it's like Nijinsky painting with a deep turquoise at that moment.
We should say something about the scenario, Nicholas Rurik's scenario. It was, they prepared the ground, and the ancient Slavs, according to Rurik, carried out this ritual every year, where they prepared the ground and the young people danced together, and then they brought out this. First of all, it started with an old woman who taught the young men how to jump, and by jumping, they could tell their future, what would happen. And then you had the games of rival tribes, and the whole idea was to warm the earth and to prepare the earth. And then eventually the elders brought on the oldest and the wisest, who was the sage, and he would look at the sky and the stars, and at the exact moment he would kiss the ground. And when he kissed the ground, he would link the earth with the sky. The energies of the sun god Eurylo would be sent down by Eurylo, and it was up to the tribe to dance these energies out. And when they danced these energies out, the crops started growing. Now this would happen every year, but they would have to repay the sun god. So in the second act, the young virgin was chosen, and her job was to dance herself to death. She knew it. It was part of the ritual of the tribe. It was a great honour, a very serious one as well. And eventually, once she danced herself to death in this circle of elders, they lifted her body up, and her spirit went, and she became the bride of the sun god Urilla. So this scenario was a Ruric scenario, and it was based on what happened with the ancient Slavs.
Nijinsky did that's so remarkable. It isn't just about turning the dancers in and divesting them of their technique. It's that he made them important. That he made everybody understand their importance. He made everyone a soloist. And I think The Chosen One is really like his story. I think finally the solo of The Chosen One is about what it is to be the one in the middle who has the biggest responsibility, who in the end is very much alone, even though everyone's around them. And they have to give everything. And it's not just Nijinsky, it's like actually every dancer. If you're really serious when you're performing, as in your career, you give everything you have. And you give it until there's nothing else. And that's it.